14-year-old girl died for no apparent reason, with multiple traumas on her body. Her lower body was stained with an unknown fluid. All evidence points to her stepfather assaulting her, but the whole world is covering for him. Even the girl's mother. Is the scum of the earth going to get away with it? Becky has a happy family of 4 when his wife had an affair with the town doctor, but for the sake of his family, he gave her a chance. To his surprise, she got worse. Becky had to file for divorce. He raised a couple of children, and his wife went to live with the doctor in Germany. 8 years later, Becky's children were grown. He also had a new girlfriend. Life was happy and prosperous. During the holidays, the children went on vacation in Germany. Becky was sad to say goodbye to his daughter. He never thought that this farewell would be forever. Becky and his girlfriend went on a beach vacation. One day, he received a phone call. His daughter had died unexpectedly. He rushed to Germany. He looked at his daughter's cold body and cried very hard. He asked his ex-wife about the cause of his daughter's death. They all said that she had suffered a heat stroke. The stepfather also resuscitated her, but strangely enough, the mother remained calm the whole time. She didn't show any sadness over her daughter's death. Shortly after her funeral in France, Becky received the autopsy report. There were suspicious bruises on her daughter's body, tear marks on her private parts, and greenish-white fluid, but the coroner said there was no way to determine the cause of her daughter's death. The stepfather was also present on the day of the autopsy. Becky seemed to think of something. He went to consult a professional professor. The professor suspected that the sex act might have something to do with his daughter's death. Becky went to France again to ask his ex-wife for clarification. He suspected that his stepfather had raped his daughter, but his ex-wife still explained stepfather. Becky was furious. He had to find out the cause of his daughter's death. A year later, Becky returned to Germany to ask for a re-examination of his daughter's body, but was refused by Germany. They believed that the medical examiner did not continue the examination, that the daughter had not been violated. Besides, the stepfather was a very reputable man in Germany. In Becky's opinion, Germany was defending his daughter's stepfather, so he had to hand out leaflets in the streets. He tried to use the power of the people to clear his daughter's name, but the police arrested him. Since justice could not be done in Germany, Becky went back to France to appeal. He also studied German and French law. The French court summoned the stepfather, but he refused to appear in court. At that point, his lawyer suggested that the coffin be opened again for an autopsy, but to no one's surprise, all of his daughter's reproductive organs had been removed. Becky immediately thought that the stepfather must have done it. He was there on the day of the autopsy. Becky was devastated. He didn't know when the killer would be caught, but he still didn't give up. 3 years later, France negotiated. He got a sample of his daughter's first autopsy. All the evidence pointed to his daughter had choked on her own vomit and suffocated. But this only happens when one is in a severe coma, so the doctors suspected her daughter may have been injected with an unknown drug to cause the coma. The judge summoned the ex-wife. She was asked why she refused to testify in court. By this time, she had already divorced her stepfather, but she still didn't believe her husband would assault her daughter. She even thought Becky did it out of jealousy. After all, it was because of her stepfather that they had separated. He was soon sentenced to 15 years in prison, but the sentence was reduced by half. The lawyer explained that it was because of the pressure from Germany, and that it took 13 years to convict the stepfather. Now don't get hung up on the length of the sentence. Just when Becky thought she could let go of everything to start a new life for herself, the lawyer told France not to get into a diplomatic dispute, so put the international warrant for her stepfather on hold. So he's still at large. On the advice of his lawyer, Becky complained to the media about the French government's inaction. Under public pressure, France handed over the international warrant, but they sarcastically accused Becky. Germany will never extradite her stepfather. He would never go to jail. Becky was in pain, but there was nothing else he could do. He could only keep repenting at his daughter's tombstone. However, 2 years later, the stepfather was charged with assaulting a 16-year-old female patient. He saw Becky sitting in the gallery. He began to cry and wail. He thought Becky was trying to kill him. He even suspected the girl was paid by Becky to frame him. The victim girl told her story. She went to the doctor but didn't realize her stepfather had drugged her. Then he watched the girl in tears. Becky could imagine what her daughter was going through, how helpless she was at that moment. She rushed to the bathroom to vomit. But in the end, the court shielded the stepfather. She was given a 2-year suspended sentence and could never practice medicine in Germany. Becky told her ex-wife about the result, but at this moment, she is still speaking for her ex-husband. She didn't even consider her daughter's feelings. Becky told him to stop fooling himself, and then turned around and left. He sent pictures of his stepfather to customs around the country. Finally, Austrian customs caught the fleeing stepfather. He was extradited to France. Becky was about to tell his girlfriend the good news, but his girlfriend, who had been with him for years, was completely fed up with this life. For more than 10 years, Becky kept trying to cover up for his daughter's case. He neglected her and neglected his son. Becky lost everything and couldn't get her stepfather to get what he deserved. This time, Germany interfered again. Austria was pressured to acquit her stepfather. Even the lawyer, who had been fighting alongside Becky, also reluctantly gave up. Becky will never see the end of this road. The retroactive period of the case is also coming to an end. If this continues, Becky will never be able to reverse the case. He had to sell the company. It took 10 years to find his stepfather in Germany. He let out a scream of anger and had a thought in his mind. Since the law can punish his stepfather, then let him do it himself. He found free man and threw his stepfather across the French border. The police took him away. The stepfather's ex-wife also heard about the incident. She finally awakened. The stepfather ended up in jail. This film is based on a true story. In reality, the stepfather was sentenced to 15 years in prison. The charge was manslaughter. The rape charge was not convicted. Well, that's the end of this video. See you in the next video.